Aluminum MIG welding can work great and really boost productivity compared to TIG, at least when it's going well. But it doesn't always go well, and when it's not going well, it can be a really frustrating process because you just don't have a lot of leeway in terms of your setup, your settings, or your technique. Hey, welcome to the shop. Today we're going to do some aluminum MIG welding and we're using a spool gun. Now you don't have to use a spool gun. There are other options like a MIG lead that has a Teflon or graphite liner, or if you're just doing a little bit, some people will be mad at me for saying this, but you can get away with the steel setup as long as you don't get too crazy with your drive roll tension, you keep everything straight. And remember, you might have some cross-contamination, so don't go welding something critical like the trailer hitch back on your Cybertruck. So this is just a light duty spool gun, and because of the way that it connects, you have to remove your regular MIG lead from the machine. Some larger industrial ones, you don't have to do that with it, but in this case, it actually gets the gas and the power from this dummy connector, and I imagine a lot of you guys are in the same boat with your setups. Now, in addition to changing over to the spool gun, I'm also switching my gas from 75-25 over to 100% argon, which is what I need to use to weld aluminum. Running some extra gas flow is usually necessary compared to short circuit MIG. You know, CFH as high as 30 to 35 is not unusual. If you look at this sample I ran with low gas, just to show what happens, there's quite a bit of porosity there, little pinholes throughout, so run plenty of gas. I'm just running some 030 4043 wire. Different alloys of aluminum wire run extremely different with MIG. Like with 5356, you have to run way more wire speed to get the same amperage. We'll save that topic for another video. From a technique perspective, notice how I'm using a push angle along the entire length of the joint. This is really important, and I'm also running a longer stick out. Notice the nozzle is further away. If you can even see the nozzle there in that view. But those are some unique differences compared with short circuit MIG. Now I am using this stitching type motion, which works pretty well. Now I flipped that around. You can see that finished weld on the back side, and I'm going to weld this front side without the stitching motion because you can do that also. And it gives a nice smooth bead. It's really a matter of personal preference as far as that goes, but I like the stitching motion, and you know, structurally I've tested those to get a sound weld too. And when I was welding that, you could see a spray transfer where the arc was lit all the time. And that's ideal when you're MIG welding aluminum. You can run with a short circuit transfer mode. The reason that you do that is if your material is too thin to be able to handle with the size of wire that you have, and you don't have bolts on your machine, you do what you have to do, but be aware that's really not an ideal situation. You're more likely to have some contamination and lack of fusion, so a spray transfer is what you're looking for. Well, how do I get a spray transfer? This is where running some tests on flat plate comes in really handy. See, your amperage is controlled by the wire feed speed. So thicker plate, higher wire feed speed. So you pick one of those and then you dial in your voltage. Your voltage controls arc length. So if it's down too low, you're going to get some crackling and popping or clear down into that short circuit transfer mode. And as you turn your voltage up, you'll get a longer arc length. And if you go too high, it'll be difficult to control. So you have to fine tune that voltage to hit the sweet spot. And if I were to give you settings, they probably wouldn't work on your machine. So just run the experiment yourself to get that arc length that's working really well for you. Now, one of the most important settings, it's not actually a setting, but parts of technique when it comes to overall heat input is your travel speed. See, I'm moving along at a pretty casual pace, and it looks like it's going pretty well. I mean, that weld's laying in nice and smooth. I'm using that stitching type motion, and it's working pretty good. So let's take a look at the result that we got out of this. And on the surface, this looks completely acceptable, and you might think, yeah, I've got it. But you've got to look a little bit deeper than that. So let's flip it over and take a look at the bottom side. Now here is its nasty little secret. Look at that big crack and how much it melted through towards the end of the weld. And from the beginning, you've got an inch-long crack there. That's not going to be good for anything. Now look, if I just pick up the pace here, same settings, just working at a faster pace. And this is a better solution than trying to adjust the settings again is just to get after it with my travel speed, as long as I'm getting enough material in there to give me an acceptable fillet weld size. Now when I get after it, it doesn't look all that different, but on the bottom, notice no crack this time, and much better heat control. So comparing them, you have a little bit smaller fillet weld, but still acceptable size for the material thickness, but you don't have that crack. So the point here is that when you're welding aluminum, there's just not a lot of margin for error when it comes to both your settings and your technique. And so you really need to be on your game. And when you are, it goes great. Wonderful process. Hey, if there are some things that we didn't address in this video when it comes to aluminum MIG, I'd love to go over it in a future video. So let me know down in the comments below if there are some things that you'd like to cover there. And if you are just learning and want to learn faster, check out my online courses. You'll spend more time under the hood and less time in front of a screen, and you're going to learn way faster than you even thought possible. At least that's what's worked for a lot of people. And if it doesn't work for you, just shoot me an email. I'll give you your money back. No hard feelings. They're $39 for a course, or you can get all 4 at a deep discount. Hey, thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this or learned something, let me know by hitting that thumbs up below, and we'll see you next time.